Hey guys, it's Trish here. Thanks for joining me again. Today I have two cards for you for the MFT Camp Create for day 3 and 4, the Remarkable Resist and Divine Dry Emboss. I have to apologize at the beginning if you hear any extra noise, but everyone is home and upstairs and running around, but I was able to get away for a few minutes to record this voiceover for you guys, so I apologize. I'm starting out today for the Remarkable Resist card with the Dainty Scallops die from MFT, and I thought that I would go ahead and create this into a stamp and use it as a stamp instead. So I have die cut it out of some fun foam, and I'm just popping out all of these pieces. Now, for me, I'm going to go ahead and save all of this negative space, and I'm going to use it on a future card, which I'll show you guys later on. So, something to think about when you guys do your die cuts. Maybe you can save those extra pieces and use it towards a different card. And if not, you can just go ahead and throw it in the trash. So once I've popped out all those pieces, I decided the best way to do this was go ahead and use my Misty tool, and I am just applying some basic snail adhesive, and I'm taking the fun foam, and I'm actually doing this in the backwards way that you should use the Misty, and I'm applying it onto the paper. And then I'm lining up my watercolor distress paper and laying it over the stamp, and I'm applying some adhesive on the back of that, which is repositionable, so it won't be permanent, and I can remove it off my Misty later on. And closing the door and lifting it up so I have the paper right where I want it as well. I'm then using some Versamark ink and applying that to the fun foam, and then pressing my paper down onto the fun foam and using it as a stamp. Now, looking at this after I created it, I should have done a second coat. Now you'll see me looking at it and it looks okay, and so I figure that I'm good. But once I go ahead and heat emboss this and start inking it up, you'll see that I have a couple of rough edges where I didn't ink very well. However, once I got started, I really liked the feel of it, and so I just went with it. So once I went ahead and inked that up, I used some white embossing powder and heat set that, and then I'm going to my favorite technique recently, which is some distress ink blending. I'm using these 3 colors, which is Cracked Pistachio, Mermaid Lagoon, and Wilted Violet. And when I was picking out my colors, I just wanted some colors that reminded me of like a mystical mermaid tail, and these are the 3 colors that came to mind. I really love how they blend together. When the Wilted Violet and the Mermaid Lagoon blend together, they create a different color, and then when the Mermaid Lagoon and Cracked Pistachio blend together, they create a different color. So it's almost like you're getting 5 colors on this card instead of just the 3, which I really love. And so I'm just going back and forth like I normally do. You guys have seen me do this the last 3 projects I've created. I'm going back and forth and just making sure that those are blended really well and they're getting overlapped. Once I finished inking that up, I decided that I needed a little shimmer and shine. Again, thinking of that mermaid tail, which is what this die reminds me of. And I am taking some of the, what is this called? The Sheer Shimmer Spritz, and it's in the color Sparkle. It's by Imagine Crafts. This one that I picked up at a local craft store happened to come out in 2-pack. One was called Shimmer, one was called Frost. I do know that they sell larger bottles through, I believe, Simon Says Stamp and some other craft online companies. So you can definitely pick that up, but I like it. It's just a very fine, glittery, shimmery mist. And so I sprayed some of that on the whole panel, and then I sprayed some off onto my craft mat and just kind of splatted that onto the background paper, as you'll see up above as well. You'll see that there's a lot of more ink splatters than what I originally had, and that's because I used my Distress water sprayer, and I added some more water splotches onto it, again, to go with that mermaid feel. I'm taking this stamp from the brand new MFT Magical Dragons, which I love. I can't wait to use it. And I've stamped that, again, in Versamark white embossing powder. This is like my theme lately. It's distress ink blending and embossing powder or embossing on black cardstock. I don't know what it is lately, but I went ahead and cut a flag end banner for that, and then I also used some, of course, glitter paper, this time in silver, and I also used a strip of vellum. I just wanted to change it up a little bit, and I just overlapped these 3 banners all together to create a small background for my sentiment. And then I'm attaching some foam squares onto the back of this just to pop it up and raise it a little bit more. And then I'm going to attach to the panel. Now you'll see there in the bottom right hand corner of my background panel and the top left that those lines on the outline is not crisp, and that's because I didn't re-ink and stamp the fun foam background, but that's totally okay. So to attach this, I'm using some of the Tombow Extreme because I did ink blend and then use water on it and heat this back panel, so there was a little warping, and I wanted to make sure that it attached perfectly flat and there was no bumps or lifting. And then I'm just peeling off the back of the foam adhesive, and I'm going to go ahead and apply this banner, trim off the edge, and then that completes the card for day 3 of the MFT Create, which is Remarkable Resist. And I really like how simple this card turned out, but I just love how, I don't know, I just love the colors and everything about it. I love the colors, the glitter paper. It really turned out exactly like I had pictured in my head, which is very rare most of the time, but it came all together in the end. So there you'll see that Imagine Craft Sheer Shimmer Spritz, which I love. So now on to day 4 of the MFT Camp Create, which today was all about Divine Dry Embossing, which was hard for me. I haven't just embossed anything except for heat emboss. I've been going crazy on that in a really long time. And so I really had to turn the wheels in my brain and figure out what I was going to do. So I went with the MFT Blueprints Tag Builders 3 set, and I'm using this little die that has 9 hearts. And I am just going to emboss a panel with that. I'm using this Spellbinders mat that was tan that you'll see there, and I'll have a link for it on my blog, and that helps me to emboss using a die without cutting through it. And then once I was done with that, I used my We Are Memory Keepers corner chomper and used the 1/4 inch rounder and cut all 4 quarters. And there you see I was not happy with the size that was happening, and so I trimmed it down a little bit and then just rounded my corners. And then I'm using some scrap fun foam, and I'm applying that to the card. Now you'll see that my right hand is like way in the frame and my left hand is like at the very edge of the screen, and I almost feel like I look like a dinosaur. At this point, my son had decided that he was ready to be held and did not want to be laying down or taking a nap anymore, and so I'm holding him in one hand and using the other hand to try and predominantly do my crafting while I was recording. Lesson learned, I probably should have just put it aside because I was doing everything one-handed, but whatever, it worked out fine. So I'm taking the stamp from the MFT Kind Thanks stamp set, and I'm using the sentiment that says "You have a heart of gold," which I thought paired really well with the embossing panel. And then I'm just stamping that onto some vellum with Versamark ink, and you got it. I'm heat embossing it with some of the super fine Ranger Detail white embossing powder. I'm going with my go-to flag ends on both sides of this strip of vellum this time to change it up a little bit. And once I've done that, I decided that I really need some gold on this card to really fit in with the sentiment. So I'm taking glitter paper, you guessed it, and a little heart that came in this blueprint set. And I'm going to just go ahead and put the whole rest of the card together. I'm using this Cool Tack foam to go on the back of the vellum strip so that you don't see it. And I'm just going to apply a little bit behind each of the words. Now, I really like, they have a roll and then they have these little squares. I like both of them. I actually have both of them. The squares I like to just cut in half when I need really thin slivers, like in this case. And I just go ahead and apply it behind something to disguise it. And now my dog's in the background scratching. Oh goodness. So I'm just removing the backing from that adhesive. I'm going to go ahead and apply it onto the green embossed panel, and then I'll add that glitter heart with a foam square, a regular foam square, and to finish it off, I am going to apply some glossy accents on top of it, and that's just to make it almost look like an embellishment, raises it up a little bit. It's not necessary, you could have just left it just like that, but it was a little something extra. So I went ahead and used some glossy accents, That completes both of my cards for today, day 3 and day 4 of the MFT Camp Create. I really hope you guys enjoyed it. Again, I'll have a link down below in the description box to my blog, which will have a list of all the supplies used on both cards. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you back for the last day of Camp Create.